What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. It is time for another reading wrap-up, just all of the things that I have done book-related this week, starting with one new book that came in, and that is Labyrinth's Heart. That is the third book in the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick. I am desperate to read this one, and if it was just this one, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I really want to reread the series before going into the third and final one. There's a lot of political intrigue. There's a lot of different scheming that is going on. It all started off with this con, and it just evolves into this whole big thing. There's magic. It's a Venetian inspired setting. I've seen lots of people giving this one 5 stars, so I'm very excited for when I am able to get to it. That is the only new addition to the Nerdy Narrative library. Let's talk about all of the books that I finished this week. Starting with an SBFBO read, If Light Above by Lily Ann Crow. This is the first book in a War of Whispers series. I believe there's going to be 4 books. 3 of those are out. The 4th one comes out in September. They're written as duets, according to the author. So the first 2 books tell a complete story. The second 2 books take place 3 years later and tell another story, but I'm hooked. I've got to read the series. I loved the murder mystery intrigue that was in this fantasy story. There's this big conspiracy that stems from, on this one night, the queen goes into early labor, she gives birth, she hemorrhages and dies. Someone then steals the infant prince. While all of this is happening, the king is somewhere else and he's being attacked by assassins, and all of this has to be connected. It all happened at the same time. It feels very orchestrated, but was it? Who knows, but that is what Captain General Osmond Benwickery has been hired to find out. There's always an element of danger in a murder mystery, but when you add in magic, especially when Benwickery has no magic of his own, it's so good. It's so good. I will have a link to my written review included in the description box below. I will also have the book linked if you would like to read the entirety of its book description. In fact, all books that I'm going to talk about in this video, as always, will have a link down in the description below where you can find them. If I have my written review done, I'll have a link to that as well. I've been moving right along in my One Piece reread. I have completed through volume 15, so I've finished the East Blue arc. I'm into the Baroque Works arc, and oh my goodness, this series is so good. It's so wholesome. It really is for all ages. It's fun, it's humorous, so many lovable characters that have values. Yes, they're pirates, but my word, these pirates, if you don't love this group of pirates, I worry for you. I worry for you. It's been an absolute delight to be back with Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirates, and I am just having the best time talking about it with my friend Una from the Codex Cantina. Una is the one who introduced me to this manga 3 or 4 years ago. We started buddy reading this manga series together. Was it even the first manga series we buddy read together? I can't remember. We've read a lot of manga and comics together, but this was a reread for him even then. I talked him into another one as we get ready for the live action show at the end of the month, and I just, that's next Friday. No, Thursday. I will not be getting any reading done that day because I'm going to be binging this show like a crazy person. I finished one more book this week. In fact, I finished it while I was getting ready to film this morning, and that is Jim Butcher's Proven Guilty. I can't believe I've already reread through book 8. I've really found the heart of the series. I've just been flying through these. I've enjoyed them so much. My husband is reading the series now. He is on book 6. If you have not read the Dresden Files, I am not going to get into what this one is about because it is spoilers for the series. Huge spoilers for the series in my opinion. This one is not as good as the 3 previous books, but it has a lot of really important series related things. So while it's not as scintillating as some of the other books, it's very important. It's definitely better than the first 3 books of the series. I believe Proven Guilty is the only other book that I finished to completion this week. That will lead us into what am I still currently reading? Well, first up, I'm still working my way through the short story collection Effects Vary by Michael Harris Cohen. I should be nearing the end of this one. I bet I'll have it finished by the time I check in with y'all next week. I think it was last week I mentioned there were a lot of stories where the main character felt trapped or was trapped, In this batch, there were a lot that had to do with farming and isolation. And then the one that I read this morning really triggered my claustrophobia. I really thought I had that one figured out where it was going, but I was very, very, very wrong. So definitely looking forward to finishing that collection. Of course, I am still working my way through One Piece. I started volume 16 this morning and I'm about halfway done, so I'll finish that this afternoon when I get back from getting my hair cut. It is definitely time to get this nappy bush trimmed and back under control, hopefully. I have gotten started reading the final book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, The Poison Song by Jen Williams. I am only around chapter 9. This one really kicks off into high gear just right from the start. The first few chapters continue the story. There's no actual recap involved, so if it's been a while since you read book 2 and you're worried about that, the author, in my opinion, does a great job bringing readers up to speed, tickling their memories while continuing the story, and then it's just full speed, straight ahead with the story. I am very concerned. I'm lucky because my friend Stacy, who is the patron that picked this one for me to read, she is reading this one as well. I have somebody to talk to about it because I am very concerned with what's happening here. I am feeling that this is going to be one of those cases where there's going to be a lot of tragedy. Perhaps this is just, I don't know. There's so many things to consider here, and it just keeps getting worse. Even though I'm concerned with the direction that the plot is going, I'm hooked. I feel that I will probably have this one done in the next couple of days. So that brings us to, what am I going to read after I finish The Poison Song? And well, we're talking about One Piece, so I will have the rest of the first box set, which is through volume 23. I believe it will also get me to the end of the Baroque Works arc. I can't really remember. I'll have to look into that. I'm almost tempted to keep going with my reread. From NetGalley, I was approved for the arc of The Words of Kings and Prophets by Shauna Lawless, which is the sequel to The Children of Gods and Fighting Men. It's an Irish-inspired fantasy. It's so good. It's so good. I'm so upset that I'm behind on my scheduled reads because I really wanted to work in a reread of this book before I went into the second one, at least the audiobook. The audiobook is absolutely amazing, but I'm very excited to get back into this Celtic-inspired Last Kingdom sort of story, and it's filled with such great lore and magic and history and lots of political intrigue, which I just adore in my fantasy novels. The last book I want to stick on this weekly TBR is another arc for a book that's coming out September 1st. That is The Boatmore Butcher by Elle Stevenson. If that name and author sounds familiar to you, you might have read The Goners, which is the start of The Boatmore Butcher. It's now being published as one complete book. I'm gonna read it start to finish, have that review up and ready for those of you who are interested. I'll put a pre-order link down in the description below. I know a lot of you have at least read The Goners, and I know you are going to be so excited to get your hands on this one. So that's gonna do it for me this week. That's everything that I've read, what I'm still working on, and what I plan to read next week. As always, it is my hope that something here I have talked about today sounded like something that would be a good fit for you as a reader. Feel free to hit me up in the comments below. Tell me if something sounded interesting to you. If you need more information about something I talked about, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.